I'm really excited because we have a special program today, and we're going to highlight individuals like this and the young lady that I just helped across the street, Miss Annie Pearl Avery. These are living superstars within your midst. All right, all of y'all from Birmingham? All right, no, everybody's not from Birmingham. That's fine. And y'all are probably familiar with what occurred here 59 years ago. Are you? You all know about what happened with the foot soldiers and the Children's Crusade in 1963? All right, so this is a reenactment of what happened that 59 years ago. And one of the things that is historically accurate is in the beginning of that march, the students who came down as far as 15 miles away walking to be a part of that campaign, but when they got here to St. Paul's, when they got to 16th Street and other places, they repped the schools that they were representing. And so we're going to do a little bit of that this morning. You going to help me? Okay, but Reverend Gwen Webb is going to help me. You're going to, when she calls out the school, you're going to rep your school, please. And after that, we will get going.
Let me tell you, what we used to have were, how many consider yourselves as leaders? All right, that's what I like. And see, as leaders, what would happen is the leaders would see to their followers, their friends, being on time, being here. So you guys are here. So let's do a little roll call. Is that all right with you? Let's do a little roll call. Now, all of you represent different areas. What about Ramsey? Is Ramsey here?
I don't think Ramsey's here. I don't want to be here. I don't think they're here.
Is Ramsey here? Well, if you're here, stand up and do that clapping. Stand up. Come on, Ramsey. Show them you're in the house. Is Ramsey here? Woo! Now let's see, can you top Ramsey? Now, my alma mater is J.O. in the house. Come on, J.O. Stand up, J.O. Look, hey. Ramsey, I want y'all to stand up and look back and recognize. J.O. Stand up, J.O. Give it up. What about Winona? What about Winona? Well, stand up, represent. Come on, Winona, stand up. Woo! Wait a minute, wait. Shh. Is Parker in the house? No, Parker, Parker not in the house. Oh. Well, that's all right. All of the outstanding schools that made it up in here, and you made it because you want to be the difference. Stand up and give all of yourselves a great big yell and round of applause. Woo! 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 Thank you so much. We're not through with you yet.
Thank you so much, Reverend Webb. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and get our program started. First of all, I want to give the opportunity for the place that you are in today to bring you greetings. And so, no, I'm sorry, I'm remiss. Reverend Stryker, we want you to bless everyone first before we get going. I should have did that at the very beginning. But if you, okay, that's fine. So go ahead, Levita. You Miss Levita Battle with St. Paul United Methodist Church. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I don't think I heard you. I'm going to follow up with Reverend Webb. Good morning, everyone. All right, we just want to welcome you to St. Paul United Methodist Church today. We are just indeed honored to have you here for this Birmingham Civil Rights event. This event that just celebrates the original foot soldiers who made a difference, not only in this city, but in this nation and in the world. We want to thank you for being here. We want to thank the students who've done their shout out this morning. We want to say thank you and welcome to the choir, the wonderful choir who's here, to those who are representing the other members of the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument, to our friends, to the national parks. We are indeed honored to have all of you here today. We want to talk just a moment about why it's so important to have this particular event here at St. Paul. St. Paul is the oldest church in downtown Birmingham. It was established in 1869, and the first members of this church bought property the first year that freed slaves had the right in the United States to buy property, because the 14th and 15th Amendment had been passed to the United States Constitution. This church is where the first mass meeting was held following the Montgomery bus boycott. And let me just give you some history about that. We all know that Rosa Parks and Claudette Colvin in Montgomery made the decision not to sit in the back of the bus and to take their rightful place in the front of the bus in Montgomery, which gave rise to the Montgomery bus boycott. But before that happened, one of our former pastors, Reverend Lowry, and Dr. King and Dr. Shuttlesworth had been meeting for years to talk about what needed to happen in this state to change the dynamic of what was going on for people who were supposed to be free, but were still being treated as second-class citizens. So the Montgomery bus boycott took place, and Fred Gray, who was a lawyer, brought a lawsuit as a result of that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court rendered a decision saying it is unconstitutional in the United States to have separate but equal accommodations. That was in 1956. The march took place here in 1963. So that meant even though it was illegal in this country, there was still segregation in Alabama. And but for the foot soldiers who are here today with you, that segregation would have continued. The children who participated in that march, and let's just get some background on why it happened that way. For those people who participated in Montgomery in that bus boycott, many of them lost their jobs. They fell on hard times. They struggled. We never heard their names as we did Rosa Parks' name, but they sacrificed everything for the rights of everyone. And so when the movement moved to Birmingham, people were reluctant to come forward and march because they knew that they could lose their jobs and their families could fall on hard times. And so two young members of the SCLC said, well, what about children? They don't have jobs, which is right. Do you all have jobs? Any of you have jobs? Yeah, well, a lot of you do have jobs today, but back then, young people didn't have jobs. And so this idea was hatched, and children were trained right here in this church and other churches downtown. And as a result of that, in 1963, the Children's Crusade March took place. Months later, the President of the United States passed legislation to open up equal rights for everybody in this country. So these foot soldiers, I just want them to stand so we can honor them for what they've done. Your rights and the rights of everybody in this country are due to their courage, their sacrifice, and their willingness to be engaged in civic engagement, which is what this event is all about. So we just want to pass that baton forward to you. We want to welcome you back to the place where the march started and let you know that you have a place here at this church anytime that you want to visit. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Sparkle.
Thank you, Ms. Levita. Thank you. It's a joy to join in welcoming you and everyone here to St. Paul. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Almighty God, before you our hearts are open, all desires are known. From you, O God, we can hide nothing. So we come before you this morning, thanking you, young and older together, thanking you for this opportunity to gather before your throne of grace. Almost 60 years ago, young people of courage, but also young people of hope, were willing to do all they could within their powers, knowing that they could rely on you and trust you, did all that they could to make the United States and other parts of the world a better place. So, Lord, we thank you for them then, and we thank you for them now. That even now, as adults, they continue to encourage and inspire and help others to know that there is a path of hope in a nonviolent change for our world. Pray a special prayer for our young people who have come today to gather and to think about that day. We ask you, God, to strengthen them. We know that they have dreams and hopes. We pray that they'll be even more inspired today to do the best they can to fulfill those dreams and those hopes and those aspirations that you have set aside for them. Bless their teachers and bless all of us, O Lord, during this time of celebration. May your name be glorified and may the world be a better place in another 50-something more years from now, because we in fact gather here today in 2022. Pray for our keynote speaker and our choir and the choir and others as we celebrate this day in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, St. Paul. So I want to introduce a very dynamic and special individual. This is our the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute's board president, board chairman. He's a young guy. And so I want to bring up right now Mr. Isaac Cooper.
Good morning. One more time, good morning. All right, I'm not going to take too much time. My name is Isaac Cooper. I'm the CEO of IMC Financial Consulting. And just as Charles mentioned, I'm also the board chair of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. Now, today is a special day. We are here gathered to not only recognize what happened before, but also recognize your responsibility. So one thing about the Children's Crusade and what we're going to focus on is a term that says children. So they may have been small in stature, but they were big in heart. And it's our responsibility. I'm taking that responsibility with you because I'm usually the youngest in the room. The company that I was with, I was the only Black in the state of Alabama, and it was one of the top companies in the country. I see a few athletes in here. There's a few faces that I recognize, but I am going to ask a question. And if you remember this question, hold your answer. Let's say I came to everyone's house today. I got a bus and a U-Haul truck. I tell you, pack your clothes up. And I like that necklace. Pack your computer up. Pack up everything that you own. And everyone gets on the bus We got everything in the U-Haul truck. What's the one question you're gonna ask me? What was that? Why? Yeah, you got all my stuff. Where are we going? Your stuff is what? Valuable, right? Is it valuable? Are you valuable? So where are you going? Right? So as we think through today, I want you to make sure that you know, because walking through the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, whenever you finish that visit, are you excited? Are you a little frustrated? A little frustrated, a little upset, a little angry. But what are we doing with that? So there's problems that we see every day. I look at my phone, a 16-year-old, they pushed him out the car, murdered. Excuse me? But we're valuable, right? So if you sit here today and you hear these words and we reflect on this experience and you walk out of here and you don't move as if you're not valuable, that's on you. But you're valuable. And everyone you see in here, they love you. And I love you. That's all I got. You have a good day.
Appreciate it, Isaac. So now we're going to talk about the occasion. Why are you here? I know we all heard it a little bit, but we're going to have this young lady come up right now to tell you the occasion. Ms. Taylor Brielle Chapman, Foot Soldier Ambassador.
Good morning. Oh, I can't hear y'all. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the anniversary of the Children's Crusade reenactment. Again, my name is Taylor Brielle, and I am honored to be here today. Today, I would like to talk to the youth about what history means and why this reenactment is still important today. On Google, the definition of history means the study of past events, particularly in human affairs. When I was in school in history class, we discussed World War I, World War II, Holocaust, and even who discovered America. But when it came down to slavery or the civil rights movement, it wasn't discussed or acknowledged. It wasn't until my mother took me down to the foot soldier's office where I heard living legends talk about traumatic events that took place in the 60s. Tommy Wren, the founder of the foot soldiers headquarters and field staffer to Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., once told me that no history book will be able to tell you what happened better than I can. Why? Because I am that history book. I've seen and heard things no others had seen before. Well, as I listened, I was amazed by the words that I was hearing. The story that stood out to me the most was the life of Johnny Robinson. You see, Johnny lost his life in 1963, the same day the 4 little girls were bombed at 16th Street. He told me that Johnny was killed by the police. Now, maybe young people, what comes to your mind is the death of George Floyd, who was killed by the police in 2020. But as I was listening to this story, it was 2004. And in 2004, Timothy Stansberry, a 19-year-old, was killed by the police. All unarmed Black men. The point I'm trying to make is that history can be a recycled change of events if you allow it. For you to understand who you are or where you come from, you must acknowledge what occurred. Gandhi, the most influential figure in India, once said, "The future depends on what you do in the present." In May of 1963, thousands of children participated in marches to fight for civil rights. During this time, Blacks were not allowed to vote, sit in front of buses, lunch counters, or even try on clothes at the local department stores. Children from ages 7 to 18 were eager to participate in nonviolent movement of the civil rights era. On May 2nd, thousands of students skipped school to march through downtown Birmingham. This peaceful protest were not only met with policemen, but dogs and fire hoses. Hundreds were arrested and jailed. The children were housed in fairgrounds, what you know now as the crossplex. The shocking images of children being hosed down and beaten by the police were seen all over the world and caught the attention of President John F. Kennedy. This opened his eyes to the urgency of the American civil rights movement. In the following months, President Kennedy went on national television to speak out against segregation and announce the plans for federal civil rights legislation. The following year, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, banning segregation and discrimination based on sex, race, or gender. The Birmingham Children's Crusade were key actions in the fight for civil rights. Today, we must honor the living legends of the Children's Crusade. The Children's Crusade allows you to see that it doesn't matter how old you are. You can still make a difference in this world. Learning about the past creates opportunities for the future. Young people, it is your turn to make a difference. Fight for what is right. So, dream big, future leaders. Be bold, young achievers, and manifest your faith into action. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on. Thank you.
So now we're going to go ahead and hear a selection from the Carlton Reese Memorial Unity Choir. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Kent Boyd, and I am privileged to serve as president of the Carlton Reese Memorial Unity Choir. In 1959, the Reverend Fred L. Shuttlesworth came to foot soldiers Ms. Mamie Brown Mason, Mr. Nims Gay, and Mr. Nathaniel Lee as the first musician to form a choir to sing at the mass meetings. Carlton Reese, and we are the Carlton Reese Memorial Unity Choir. He was the composer to the movement. He took over in the role of musician as a talented teenager in 1960. In 1963, this choir sang for 64 nights in a row. That's a little over 9 weeks straight. That's a little more than 2 months, every single night. Sunday through Saturday and starting on Sunday again. They did that to prepare citizens who had met their responsibilities and obligations as citizens, but who were not allowed to exercise those rights and freedoms as citizens of this city, citizens of this state, as citizens of this country. And it was this choir's job to prepare these citizens to face dogs, fire hoses, billy clubs, axe handles, and to respond not with fear, not with force, not with fighting, but to respond with peace, love, and nonviolence. With that, I would like to introduce our music director, Dr. Eloise Gaffney, and our musician, Dr. Charles Diggins, and we will share just a couple of songs and stories from the Birmingham Civil Rights Movement.
I got a job, and we want you to know that all of God's children, surely, we got a job to do. We can't get freedom till we get through carrying the cross. Oh, I've got a job. We want you to know that every one of God's children, surely have a job. We got a job to do. We can't get freedom till we get through carrying the cross. Now we're fighting for freedom. Some of you might not hear us. Freedom. One time for Governor Wallace. Freedom. One time for Bull Corner. Freedom. One time for the City Hall. Freedom. One time for the city jail. Freedom. The Constitution of the United States says that we're to freedom, 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 justice, 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 justice. Yes, Lord. 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 Freedom, 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 freedom. We got a job to do. We've got a job. We can't get freedom till we get through carrying the cross. Oh, all right. Good morning. First, we'd like to say thank you so much for allowing us to be here. We appreciate the opportunity to come and share some of the things that we remember and that we went through. Now, I realize that most of you are young, and you don't even know some of the struggles that we had. Some people still want to know, well, why did y'all have to march? Why did you have to go to jail? Well, some things you don't get unless you fight for. But I want our young people to know that we're not talking about fighting with guns and knives. That's already too much of that. We've lost too many young people. Let's stop killing each other. And let's stop fighting with our knives and our guns. Use your mind. Use your mind. And use your heart. We need to realize that there is something we can do. You see, when we couldn't go to Fair Park or what is it? What plex? What's the plex? Crossplex. Thank you. See, I remember Fair Park. We couldn't go to places like that. We couldn't go to Disney World. And incidentally, you might not even realize this, but we couldn't even go to the bathroom if it said white. And there were labels that said white and colored. I know we don't like to be called colored, but that's what we were called. And you couldn't go to a bathroom, I don't care how urgent it was, if it said white, you'd better not go in. If it were a water fountain, you couldn't drink it if it said white. Or a dog could go drink out of it, but not if you were colored. So finally, somebody had the vision and the mind, and of course it was the wisdom of the Lord, to step up and do something about it. And that is what happened. And thank God for those who had enough courage to be willing to lay down some of the freedoms that they thought they should have and go give it up and go to jail for somebody else. I was not even married at the time, wasn't even dating seriously. But I felt like one day I wanted to have children, and I wanted them to have what I didn't get to have when I was coming up as a child. But I'm grateful today. My children didn't have to go through what I went through. Oh, they're still going through stuff. It's not over. We still got a job to do. But until we show people that we know how to do more than physically fight, but that we've got a brain and we're intelligent and we're willing to work and we're willing to be on time and that we're willing to show people I am just as good as everybody else. Because you do know that every one of us is as good as the next one, do you not? We were all made by the same Father. So every one of us, we're all related. And if we realize that and understand that we're to love each other, we don't have to hate, just love. Respond with love and kindness. The word said, when in love and kindness have I drawn thee. That's how the Lord drew us. How are we going to draw somebody else? Not by fighting physically, but with love and kindness and using our minds and doing what the Spirit of the Lord will let us know we need to do. And incidentally, during those years, it was God on our side. And we do sing a song that says that. It was God on our side. It wasn't just us. It was God. Trust me, we couldn't have done it alone. Thank you so much for allowing us to come. Let's step up to the plate and do the job that needs to be done now. God bless you.
Thank you so much for that. So I had skipped over something in our itinerary. So right now we're going to show a short video about St. Paul United Methodist Church and one of their superstars. So we can cue that now, please.
Hello, my name is Levita Morgan Battle, and I am chair of the History Project at St. Paul United Methodist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. St. Paul was founded in 1869 for newly freed slaves, 1 year before the city of Birmingham was founded, and 6 years after the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. It stands historically in the divide between white Southern principles of segregation and exclusion and Black freedom. The history of St. Paul mirrors the history of this city and this nation.
I was baptized in this church over 70 years ago when I was 3 months old. I was baptized under Reverend Gibson, who was the father-in-law of Reverend Lowry, who came some years later. When I was a little girl, Dr. Charles McPherson organized a clinic here upstairs.
It was a free clinic, which meant it gave poor children, they didn't have to pay for their shots.
Back then, at 6 years old, you couldn't attend school unless you had to be vaccinated. And he would come down on Saturdays and examine us and vaccinate us here at the church.
Dr. Charles A.J. McPherson was born and died during the segregated Jim Crow era. At an early age, he vowed to do whatever he could to make positive changes for African Americans by confronting inequality, prejudices, and racism. As a physician, he strived to provide the best medical care possible to the underprivileged and underserved. Due to the racist and degrading treatment of African Americans by the healthcare system and his commitment to the well-being of children, he was instrumental in establishing the Children's Home Hospital and preventing the closing of the Slossville Clinic, which provided accessible health services to blacks. Greatly disturbed by the racist attacks of African Americans through lynchings, murders, and unfair imprisonment, Dr. McPherson became actively involved in efforts to defend and free the Scottsboro boys. He was recognized by the NAACP for his unprecedented action in successfully organizing the state of Alabama around their case. Mrs. Alma McPherson, loving wife and mother, and by profession a nurse, was also committed to the health and well-being of the most vulnerable. After Dr. McPherson's untimely death, she played a key role in providing volunteers and doctors for the Children's Clinic at St. Paul. In his honor, she donated all his medical equipment and furniture. The clinic was initially named C.A.J. McPherson Clinic. However, under the auspices of the Jefferson County Public Health Department, it was eventually changed to St. Paul Clinic.
St. Paul was one of the departure points for the April 7, 1963 march to City Hall, led by pastors Reverend N.H. Smith, A.D. King, who is Martin Luther King's brother, and John T. Porter. The marches continued over the next month. The number of protesters grew each day. Months after the marches, Dr. Lowry became pastor here at the church. He was one of the founders of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and had been working for years with Dr. Martin Luther King prior to his pastorate here at St. Paul. There's a love story in Reverend Lowry's connection to this church as he met his wife, Evelyn Gibson Lowry, and they were married in 1950 here at this church.
St. Paul was interesting. St. Paul stayed in the basement 100 years. And not really 100, but almost.
Right.
And my wife's father, Harry B. Gibson Sr., went there and he put the top on the church. And he passed away, and the church still wasn't finished on the inside. And in my pastorate, I completed the inside, interior.
Dr. Lowry was particularly outspoken about police brutality and participated in many civil rights activities while he was pastor here at this church. St. Paul has been an active house of worship in downtown Birmingham for over 150 years. We are excited about this opportunity to share our history of community outreach and involvement in the civil rights movement. Today, St. Paul continues to open its doors to the community, and children are trained here through the Scrollworks music program.
Try it again. That's it? Good. Very nice. Okay, so now C. And so this is just a great program because kids wouldn't get to do it otherwise. They would be so expensive. And so we get to give them an instrument to use as long as they're part of the program for a small deposit of $25, and that carries them through the whole program as long as they're taking some kind of class or lesson. They get to use our instruments, and that makes a huge difference.
I'm from Bessemer, Alabama, and I play the cello. What I think about Shuttlesworth is I think it's a great opportunity for kids that for all ages that want to do something that's outside the box.
Metropolitan Youth Orchestras was founded in 2007, June of 2007, so we're just at 8 years. We started Scrollworks in February of 2008. We decided to focus on kids ages 6 to 18. It's thousands of kids. We do about 300 kids a year. Probably have 150 kids that are consistent throughout the semesters. We teach at St. Paul United Methodist Church. I feel good. I feel like we're really making an impact. We're getting somewhere, so.
We really appreciate your interest and support in St. Paul. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website.
That was a wonderful video. That rendition of Lift Very Voice and Sing at the end, wow. So young people, what we really want you all to get out of this program is that you all are in the midst of giants, people who did extraordinary things, and you all are a part of a city that has an extraordinary history. How many, I'm gonna ask J.O., y'all hear me back there? How many of y'all knew that Martin Luther King Jr.'s little brother was a pastor in the city of Birmingham? You knew that? Do you all also know that A.D. King's house is located about a block and a half from J.O.'s campus? And that his house was bombed in the 60s during the movement? So all of this history, this is citywide history, but this is all of our history. And we want you all to be tapped into that history. All right, so right now we're gonna learn about what is a foot soldier. Okay, we heard that term used over and over again. And so now we're going to understand what exactly that is. So we're going to have Ms. Paulette Roby, chairwoman of the Civil Rights Activist Committee, come bring you some words. Thank you.
Good morning. What is a foot soldier? Foot soldier is a term of endearment given to the brave individuals who fought tirelessly during the civil rights movement in an effort to put an end to the inhumane treatment of African Americans. Some of the civil rights leaders like Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Andrew Young, and John Lewis received great notoriety and applause. However, there were children and students like myself who put their lives and livelihood on the line as well. Foot soldiers were unsung heroes and sheroes who contributed their personal finances that were used as bail money to get the troops out of jail. They were also adult men who were armed, and they guarded and protected their communities and their families from people totally opposed to the civil rights movements like the KKK. They were people that used their vehicles to transport foot soldiers to mass meetings in 1963. Birmingham was a very dangerous place to live during the movement time. If you could not make nonviolent a commitment, you could not participate in the Children's Crusade. All of these individuals and countless others were impacted by the harsh treatment of the Jim Crow South and answered the call to show up on the battlefield for justice. The Civil Rights Activist Committee is a nonprofit 501(c) corporation that was established in the year 1991 by Tommy Wren, a field staffer for Dr. King. Tommy felt it necessary to establish the Civil Rights Activist Committee, home of the foot soldiers, to continue in excellence and in greatness. The mission of the Civil Rights Activist Committee is to document the countless stories of foot soldiers through the collection of their names and addresses in order to devise an active database and a written record of their stories. The purpose and the power of this committee is to maintain and preserve facts and material related to the Crusade and exhibit documents, photographs, newspapers, and other media articles for local, worldwide public interest, as well as educational and research purposes. Our organization provides and displays a bank of information for people to come, visit, discuss, and learn the significant contribution made by the foot soldiers here in Birmingham during the Children's Crusade of 1963 and the civil rights struggle in general. This corporation is made up of persons who were there and were eyewitnesses and also victims of police brutality. They are people who actually worked on the civil rights freedom buses, led marches in the streets of Birmingham, brought children from school grounds to push on doors of segregation with their bodies as human sacrifices, meeting police dogs and water hoses, then jailed by thousands for standing up. Now that I have given you the meaning of a foot soldier, I'd like to tell you how I got involved with the movement as a child. I remember each year when I attended elementary school, there was always a theme written above the blackboard. And one theme stuck out, and I remember it to this day. It stated, "The development of character through self-discipline." At a very young age, I didn't realize that discipline was what I was receiving. And I didn't realize that the discipline that I was receiving was developing my character in such a way and to such extent that I be a nonviolent participant in the Children's Crusade and the Civil Rights Movement in Birmingham in 1963. In order to participate in the movement, we had to make a commitment to nonviolence. I did not understand the true meaning of the word character or the word discipline. I did not truly understand character is the mental and moral qualities that we possess. Neither did I grasp the concept of discipline being the regulations or ability to live within the guidelines of humanity. So character is being established by obeying your parents. In obeying your parents, you learn to abide by rules. When you obey at home, you are better able to obey your teachers in the classrooms. The whole process of playing by the rules is discipline, and by being disciplined, you establish character. This means that when people watch our conduct, watch our actions, they are able to see your character by what you say or do. It is difficult for us to say we love each other when we don't have actions that are in alignment with our words. In fact, action speaks louder than words. Civil rights leaders of history all exemplified righteous characters because they understood fairness and equality. To have good character, we must first understand the requirements of good character. What is required of us to be accountable for our actions and words? Self-discipline is when your conscience tells you to do something and you don't talk back. Discipline and commitments are a pathway to reach goals and dreams. Discipline trains you to put up with disappointments. Every rose has a thorn. The foundation of a strong self comes from small acts of daily discipline. Self-respect is the root of discipline. The sense of dignity grows with the ability to say no to oneself. Our greatest attributes of excellency are within us, and we have to reach within ourselves to be the best us we can be. There is an old saying that says, if it's going to be, then it's up to me. This means that if all to be part of the solution to our world's problem, we have to have the moral stability of the character to do so. In other words, to establish this awesome character, we have to be disciplined. We have to know when to tell the world no, and we have to know when to say yes. It is either or, and there is no in between. We either have to choose right, we have to choose wrong. Right now, you are in your days of development to succeed at all of your dreams and aspirations. In order for you to be able to reach all of your goals, you have to say yes to education. Now, you have to say yes to your parents now. You have to say yes to discipline right now. One great example of discipline is this. Let's say you have a history test. The history class in the morning, but there is a big party tonight, and everyone is going to be there. You know you need to study for this test, but you cannot stand the thought of missing the biggest party of the year. If you decide to go to the party and do not study, you are preparing yourself to fail in life by making bad decisions. It's getting the correct answers on the test that will prove that you have the discipline that you need to fulfill your purpose. So if you decide to study, rather go to the party, you will be prepared for excellence in school. Hence, you will be trained to make the best decisions in life for you, your family, and your communities. All in all, you are in the driver's seat for your life, and it starts right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, once again, my name is Charles Woods. I am the Education Director and Trainer at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, we are trying to find clever ways to engage young people. And so one of those ways that we've chosen to engage young people is by creating an app. And that app is going to be called the Movement app. And that app is generated to not only bring you information about the Civil Rights Institute, but also to get you involved in issues and things that you see in your own neighborhoods, in your own city, in your own areas to find and make change in this world and in this city and in your neighborhoods. And so really quickly, we're going to show you a video about the Movement app. And then we're going to go into how you can get involved in your own neighborhoods. Thank you.
On that hospital bed, I wrote the song, and it goes something like this: go on, go on, go on. Oh, this is something people telling me to go on, go on, go on. It's something people telling me to go on.
When I close my eyes, I see the ripples of a movement. A movement that didn't start or end in Birmingham, but a movement that was defined by this place. I see Trayvon, Locke, Taylor, Floyd. Then my mind takes me back to this place, this hollow ground. A place where young people will grow with the knowledge that their grandparents were once children. Children who stood toe-to-toe with police officers wielding fire hoses, attack dogs, and bloody batons waiting to strike. A place where young leaders, college students, and children would transform the nation's understanding of liberation and bring us closer to a new kind of freedom, a kind of freedom that we never experienced before. My name is David DeGree, and just like you, I'm a part of the movement, a movement that never stops. I'm a rapper, an artist, and a writer trying to better understand the story of youth activism. But in order to know that story, we have to go back. Back to 1963, back before Birmingham became a cornerstone of the civil rights movement, before the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act of 1964 was signed into law, before Martin Luther King delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. We have to go back. Understand, before the civil rights movement accomplished its goal, in the South, Jim Crow was not just a mentality, it was a system that allowed white people to violently oppress Black children, women, and men, especially here in Birmingham. This system was carefully upheld by the Commissioner of Public Safety, Eugene Bull Connor, and an army of white citizens, business owners, and domestic terrorists. The consequences of challenging Jim Crow meant incarceration, harassment, lynchings, and other forms of brutal violence. And even though Jim Crow enabled violence throughout the South, Birmingham was unique. Just imagine living in a city so dangerous that it earned the nickname Birmingham, a place where homes, churches, and businesses could be bombed without consequence or warning. Between 1946 and 65 alone, over 50 Black establishments were bombed. Something needed to change. The movement for civil rights and Black liberation was not a guaranteed success. In the early 60s, it was struggling. Campaigns across the South were not able to achieve what they set out to achieve. A Birmingham reverend and activist named Fred Shuttlesworth saw an opportunity to advance the movement and called on King to join forces and bring a bold new vision to life. Enter SCLC leaders James Bevel, Diane Nash, and Project Confrontation, an assembling of young adults to focus the nation's attention on the evils of Jim Crow by overwhelming Birmingham's jail system. But after months of sit-ins, boycotts, and peace walks, the organizers and young activists were still struggling. A new element was needed, an element of innocence, an element that can only be embodied by people like her.
I packed my purse and brought a change of underwear and toothbrush and all the things I thought I would need for an overnight stay. And I walked from my school, Ullman High School, down here to 16th Street Baptist Church. And when I got here, people were everywhere. The park was covered, the streets were covered. And I remember James Bevel and Andrew Young stood at the top of the steps at 16th Street Baptist Church. And they called out and said, if you're here to participate in the demonstrations, come into the church. And we went up into the church. We went into the sanctuary. And we started singing freedom songs. We sang, we rocked. Dr. King spoke to us, told us, don't be afraid. Then we lined up. They lined us up in pairs. And we walked down those steps singing, we shall overcome. We were hand in hand. And I mean, that feeling, I can barely stand now to hear that song without it triggering something inside of me. It was on May 2nd, it was a Thursday. We walked down those steps and we headed up the street. We were stopped by a uniformed police officer who told us we were in violation of a city ordinance. And he said, get out of this line and nothing's going to happen. But you stay in this line, you're going to jail. Well, what he said didn't bother me. I knew I was going to jail. I left home to go to jail. But I was intimidated by what I saw. This was a white man. I had not encountered anything like that, being disrespectful to an adult, disobeying a white man who's a police officer. He's wearing a gun. He has a stick in his hand, and I'm prepared to disobey him. But somebody started saying loudly, "We are not afraid." That gave me the courage to stand fast and to be arrested and to go to jail. I'm Janice Wesley Kelsey. I was born, raised, and educated here in Birmingham. I've lived here my whole life. And if I were to say, who am I? I am a foot soldier. That to me is one of the most significant things that I have done, short of being a parent and grandparent. I think being a foot soldier served as a catalyst for change throughout the world. And so I'm proud to say I am a foot soldier from Birmingham, Alabama.
When I open my eyes, I feel the ripples of a movement that didn't start or end here in Birmingham, but a movement that lives in this place. I see the reflection of Miss Janice, Miss Ruby, Miss Annetta, Miss Jessie, elders who came here as children to transform our understanding of liberation and bring us all closer to a new kind of freedom, a kind of freedom we never experienced before. I see their reflections in me.
Go to www.bcri.org to stay connected to the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. You will be able to download the app in June. And one of the main components about that app is about getting young people involved, okay? So it's just not one of those apps where you get, what hours we're open and things of that nature. It will do that as well, but it also is about getting you involved in the movement. And so talking about getting involved, let me ask you all a question. And this may be a sad question, but it's a quick question that I need to ask really quickly. Please raise your hand if you know anyone who has lost their life through gun violence, some type of violence in this city. Raise your hand if you know someone personally who has been affected by gun violence or something of that nature. All right, you can put your hands down. Now, I didn't do that to bring the mood down or anything, but what I need you young people to know is that you have the power to make change in this world. Did y'all see the age range of the people that participated in the movement in 1963? Did y'all pick up on that? The youngest child that was arrested in that movement was 4 years old. Now, I know it says 7 up there, but it was a 4-year-old child that was arrested in the Children's Crusade in 1963. They were with their older sibling, is how they were end up being arrested. Okay? And so if 4-year-olds and 63 can get arrested and can be involved to make change in their community, and ultimately these people, and we're going to do an acknowledgement in just a moment, but these people made change in what was considered the worst city for this type of things in this whole country. And that's right here in Birmingham. All right? And so if they can do it, y'all can do it. They saw things that they wanted to make change. It's plenty of things that I know y'all see around you that needs changing, right? Now, let me ask y'all this. How many of y'all live in a neighborhood that has one of those neighborhood association kind of groups that they meet and they have, they spend money and do things in the neighborhood? I got one. How many of y'all? Raise your hands. All of y'all, almost every 99 neighborhood in this city has one of these groups. So if you live in the city of Birmingham, raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand. You live in the city of Birmingham. If you live in the city of Birmingham, then you're more than likely part of one of those 99 neighborhoods. And just about every one of those neighborhoods has an organization where they make decisions for that neighborhood. Now, what I just learned, and why I have these little booklets right here in my hand, which I'm gonna have to give, they didn't give me enough of them, so I have to give them to each advisor or chaperone for each school. But this booklet is a booklet about your civic engagement for your city government, okay? And part of that city government are those 99 neighborhoods. Now, what I didn't know, which y'all probably don't know, is that to be a member of that neighborhood association, you can be as young as 15 years old. 16 years old. 16. So that means there's stuff going on in y'all neighborhoods right now that they're making decisions that you all could be voting on. You all could be making those decisions. You all could be saying how the money is being spent in your neighborhoods. So they may want to spend it on something. Y'all may decide y'all want a block party. Y'all can make those kind of things happen, okay? And so I'm gonna give one of these booklets to each one of your advisors, and then get in touch with your councilman person, and they can get you more of these booklets so you can understand what your civic engagement should be, what you can do, and how you can make change in your own neighborhoods. Are y'all hype about that? A little bit excited about that? Just a little bit. Can y'all get back hype for me? I know it's been a long day, but y'all gotta bear with me. We're almost finished, all right? So can I get some excitement? Okay, let's go. All right. So we're gonna keep going. Right now we're gonna have another selection from the Carlton Reese Memorial Unity Choir.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, to freedom land. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, freedom land. If you don't go, don't hinder me. If you don't go, don't hinder you can do to turn me around. There's nothing you can do to turn me around. There's nothing you can do to turn me around. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, freedom land. Are you on your way to freedom land? Are you on your way to freedom land? Are you on your way to freedom land? Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, freedom land. I said I'm on my way to freedom land. I'm on my way. Come on and go with me to freedom land. I am on my way to freedom land. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, to that freedom land. Yeah. When I was a teenager, I was a student just like you all are. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. There was places that I could not go. Matter of fact, there was places no blacks could go. We couldn't change clothes if we wanted to buy them. You just have to buy them and hope they would fit you. You couldn't try on shoes. You couldn't sit at the lunch counters. I saw all this injustice as a child. Colored bathroom, white bathroom, only. They put only so you can understand it. My mother worked for white people. She was able to cook for them, prepare their food, but she better not sit down with them. That's just how it was. So seeing all this injustice, when I came to 16th Street and they prepared us to go out into the street and march and told us what was going to happen to us, nonviolence. Of course, my mother told me not to go. She said, don't you go off that school ground, girl. But all this I had seen all of my life, I was just what they called me, one of the fed up colored girl. So I went anyway. And we sung freedom songs and marched, and we encountered the dogs and the fire hose and everything. Of course, I was afraid, but I knew, because I was brought up in a Christian home, that God would take care of me. So as much as I loved my mother, I said, yes, ma'am, I won't go. I went off the school ground, and I marched, because my mother was hindering me, because I was on my way to freedom land.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Shepherd. Now, what we're going to do now is, if you were, hold on, really quickly, we're going to have Ms. Barbara Basemore. She's going to greet you all really quickly before we do our foot soldier acknowledgement. She has something special on her heart that she wanted to say, and so I'm going to allow her to do that now.
Still morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody today? It is so nice to see all of you out here. It's a wonderful thing to be able to share our story, because I know with the generation that we have now, your mothers probably were not able to be foot soldiers. Probably came from your grandmothers or your great-grandmothers. And I don't know whether or not they told you the story about foot soldiers and the marches and the movement or not. What I did, by me being a 1963 child protester, I shared it with my children. And my children shared it with their children. And after my children were deceased, my two oldest sons, I brought my grandchildren into the movement. And my youngest son, he marched alongside me, as well as Miss Brielle Tate. her mother did the same. We try to involve our children in the knowledge of. So what I'm looking at today, I listen to the news and different people saying the thing, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Are you your brother's keeper? So when you say that, that means that each one teach one. We need to know what is going on today. Look at me. I am 73 years old. And I thank God for being able to be here today to stand and tell my story. It was an awesome story because we were young like you. How many here is in the 9th grade? Got any 9th graders? Well, that's what grade I was in when I started marching. I was 14 years old. I didn't know a bit more what I was out there doing in the man room. All I knew is they came, I heard some people outside the school singing and chanting. We all jumped up and ran to the window to see what was going on. And all I thought about was we finna leave school. They locked the doors, put the chains on it, everything. The young men jumped out the window and they held the window up so we could jump out and they would catch us as we go down. Okay, all I know, we was running away. So by the time we got to 16th Street Baptist Church, they told us what we were down there for. Because my mother told me when she found out I was down there, she thought I was crazy. She said, what you doing down there marching? Talking about you trying to be free. You always were free. I work every day for your freedom. Well, that ain't what Martin Luther King said. Okay. Because I didn't know. I thought I was free too. Because you never made any other provisions of what you taught us to have. And we lived in a community of all Black people. We slept on the front porch when it was hot because we didn't have air conditioning. Okay. The neighbors were able to chastise us. We ate from each and every one of the neighbors' kitchens. They saw about us as children if your mom had to work. We had to go, we went to the store if your mama didn't have no money, they had a little black book. And when you went to the grocery store, you bought whatever your mama sent you there to get. And you gave that man that little black book and you had bologna, you had a roast, you had chicken. So free. We thought we were free. Because you know what? We were happy. We were happy. We had to come in the house when the street light came on. Have you ever heard of that? When the street light comes on, you better be standing in that door. Okay. It wasn't no more, you couldn't scare your mama. Well, it was almost on when I started running. No, you better be at the house when that street light came on. So y'all have a privilege. You wear Jordan shoes, Nike shoes, nautical shoes, we have them polo shoes, polo dresses, polo shirts, red hair, green hair, purple hair. We couldn't do none of that. There was no such thing. You couldn't even wear your dress above your knee. I used to go to school every morning when I was in high school, and I had on some Bobby socks. I walked 4 blocks from school to go to the Big Hat and store across the street to get me a pair of stockings, roll my dress up, put me a belt on, put tissue in my bra, let my hair down, put a French roll up there, and when I got to school, I had to dot me a mole right there like Marilyn Monroe. I thought I was But when school was out, I had to unrobe all of that. So that's what I'm saying to you today, young folks. We had discipline. Now, the parents that have come after me, and after my children, you know why you all are going astray and doing so much and being able to be as free as you possibly could be, which you have too much freedom. You know why that's happening? Because your mothers and your mother's mother tell you, I'm not going to do my children like my mama did me. I'm not going to do my children like that. And guess what? You got lost. You got lost. Okay? And I need you to come back and understand why we march and sacrifice. You have gotten so complacent in the wrong things. In the wrong things. You don't even like each other because of the fact that one got more than he got, the other one no more than he knows. That one is cuter than that one. He look better than he do. She look better than she do. I got more drugs than he got. He in my territory. We got to get away from that. We got to live because we can't live forever. We cannot live forever. And if we lose the generation of our children, where's the world going? You talking about white TV, white bathroom, color bathroom? Oh, it's gonna be white America because black gonna be gone. So you better wake up and realize what's happening to us. We gotta learn to love one another as we were loved. We want to be able to give this love back to this generation so you can come up and do like we are. Because we said, what was the old saying, Green? We fired up and ready to go. When we walked out, we said, we fired up and we ready to go. Because we realized where we were and we had to be and how far we wanted to go. And we did not do all these things to sit back and watch our generation of children self-destruct. I love you. I love children. I have 10 grandchildren and 6 great-grands. I love each and every one, and I love all the children on my block. I love all the children in my area. Every time I hear of one getting killed, getting shot, or been in prison, it saddens me. So I want you to wake up, young people, and realize foot soldiers are still on the march. And I want you to get fired up and ready to go. Stay
right here. Stay right here. All right. So young people, I need you all to help me. I need you all to help me honor these giants, these legends, these foot soldiers by getting on your feet. And anyone that was a part of any part of the movement, if you are a part of ending the oppressive nature of this city, this state, this country, if you fought to integrate lunch counters, libraries, buses, if you fought to end oppression and segregation and racism in this world, you all please stand as our foot soldiers. Please stand. All foot soldiers all around. Miss Shepherd, anyone in the choir stand? All of y'all stand up. And now you young people, y'all stand up and give these people some praise. Y'all stand up, give these people some praise. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. Give these people the honor that they deserve. We are because they were. We are here because they did what they did to make change in our city. Now, y'all can sit back down. We got a few more things left, and then we'll be through. We'll be through. We got a few more things left, and then we'll be through. All right, so right now what we're going to do is Queen in the building? Is Queen here? Okay, if Queen is not here, we're going to keep pushing. I have 2 students from a local high school that right now want to bring up Miss Kimberly Corner. Kimberly Corner from JO. She's going to bring some spoken word to us today. And so we want to highlight young people that are doing dynamic things. And so I had a call that I sent out, and these are the individuals who answered my call. And so I'm thankful for that because I needed them and they were able to come through. And so right now she's gonna come to this area right here and do a spoken word piece for you all. Y'all give her a round of applause.
Silent is what you want me to be when you talk to me. But how can I stay silent when outside there's a riot? Don't you want to keep the peace? I'm afraid to tell you, but there is no peace to keep. Not if children are getting beat together in rhythm on beat, even in the heat. There are children in the feet eating concrete. They don't look quiet to me. They might be silent with their mouths, but they are talking with their feet. You want them to be wordless, worthless, but I don't think they will. They won't be silenced until peace is what they feel.
Thank you so much for that. Now we're gonna have come to the stage Miss Janila Hood. She's also from JO, 10th grader.
I'm writing this poem, not just for you to understand it, but to feel it. I'm talking about chills over your body when you hear this stuff I'm spilling. We march for Black Lives, but I just don't get it. We go out here and kill each other, but expecting to get it when we say just listen? No, that's not how it works. We can't play victim to the suspect and then play suspect to our people, but it's something wrong when they kill us. Okay, see, now I get it. We go out here and march for the people whose lives got taken by the police. But what about people whose lives got taken by their own peace? Mama's crying, sons dying, but we don't get rowdy when a white person do it, of course. But listen is different, okay? I get it. It's a difference because racism never ended in the first place. It's just getting started. But black on black crime stay rise as I'm talking. So I'm not out here marching for the black teen who just got killed by his own partner, somebody he trusted. But it'll be different if it was a white person's father, right? We stream and make a change and turn around and stream we equal. Just seeing you out there marching, now I see you on the news killing your own kind. Because you stepped on your new pair of sneakers. What? Now, I'm not saying all white people are the same. Because I know a couple white people that go insane for our people who actually got trying to come and protect for our people. I'm not trying to say like I hate the movement, but from a fellow person of color, us as a whole got to do better. How we expect some outside to listen to us when we can't even take on our own advice? When I hear Black Lives Matter, I think of every black person that died. But when you hear Black Lives Matter, you think of George Floyd. You hear his, I can't breathe line. I'm not trying to say that y'all can't march, but please march for all black people's lives. I'm so tired of hearing equal for black on black crime, now the same rules apply. Is it just normal for us to go day and day and hear a black young teen die? Or is it just uncommon for a white cop to kill a 9-year-old kid who's barely had time to shine? I know this is going through one and not the other, but please don't waste time. Rest in peace to all the victims of these tragic crimes. As time passes, it will become old times of old crimes that happened about 6 times. But just remember, when we forget, it was still scar the victim's family for a lifetime. So when I say rest in peace to all black lives, I mean every black person that died. Because mama's crying and sons died and still the same, no matter what skin color they got killed by. Rest in peace to all. And I mean all black lives.
Wow. Young people, that's why I do what I do. So right now we're gonna bring up, this is a young guy that I'm really proud of. We've done some work together in the past. We were organizers for the March on Washington that occurred in 2021. And so we went out to DC. We basically helped plan the same type of march that King spoke at, where he gave his I Have a Dream speech in 1963. We stood in the same spaces. We were right at the same marker where he stood and he gave his I Have a Dream speech. And so this guy is the lead organizer for Woke Vote. And he's a good, dynamic young man. Chad Freeman, can you come to the stage, please? We're gonna have you come up to the podium right here. Thank you. He's gonna greet you all.
How y'all doing? If my grandma could see me up here in this church, she'd be so happy, but I ain't no preacher, so. I just wanted to briefly talk to the young people about the importance of getting involved. We have to learn from the foot soldiers, right? But we all know that we have a different fight that we are in currently. You know what I mean? And the legacies of oppression still linger today. An example I can think of is, I remember when we were protesting for George Floyd, and, you know, some folks from the old school didn't like the way we was doing it. They don't like the way we, you know what I mean? But we got a Confederate monument taken down from Lynn Park that was up since 1905. That wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have did what we did. I graduated from UAB. We had a building named after George Wallace. It was up for a long time. They didn't take it down until we started raising a little hell about it. So that's what we do. And I'll say this as well, like, young people, we have our own unique flavor. You know, if you ask me, Gen Z, us, I ain't number 25. So us Gen Zs, we the best generation ever. That's just my opinion, but I think so. Like, you know, my grandmama always tell me, y'all always got y'all head in y'all phones. But see, they see a phone. They don't understand that we got social media, the internet, thesaurus, dictionaries, all that. We got access in our hands now. So we just a little different. So I will always say to the young people, you know, learn from our elders, but let's add our own little flavor to what we're trying to do now. You know what I mean? When I look on this side of the aisle, you know what stick out to me? We always talk about integration. I don't see that many white faces over there. I see a lot of black and brown faces. But then when I look at a district like Homewood or Gardendale or Hoover or Mountain Brook, they predominantly white, right? Seemed like that was kind of purposeful when you consider that the Brown v. Board of Education happened in 1954 and those school districts didn't open up until the 60s and 70s. Seemed like they were trying to run away from us Negroes, but that's just my opinion. We got a courthouse that's named after a Klansman, Hugo Black. Y'all, I want y'all to pull out y'all phone and look that up when y'all got time. Hugo Black was a Klansman. So how you expect me as a black person to walk into a courthouse and think it's gonna be fair and just when it's named after a person that didn't like black folk? So what I'm saying is we got our own unique struggles and battles. And yes, we can listen, we can learn from the mistakes and the triumphs of the generations before us, but we got our own unique ideas and don't let nobody, you know, take that away from you. You know, I'm an activist in my own right. I done had people come up to me and they don't like me because I got tattoos and dreadlocks and I drive a car with rims on it. But I mean, you know what I mean? That don't mean nothing. So with y'all blue hair and red hair and braids and dreadlocks, you know, you still can be leaders of our generation. So when I look at Ramsey, when I look at Winona, when I look at all the other schools that's at this program, I'm sorry, what was the other one? I'm sorry, somebody said. Right. Who is Ramsey, Winona, and J.O. Shout out to J.O. Shout out to J.O. Oh, and Huffman. Shout out to Huffman. So yeah, I want y'all to always consider that. And then if it's something going on in y'all schools that you think is unfair or unjust, like, you know what I mean, organize, create a petition, go to your counselor, your principal, say, hey, we want to do X, Y, Z. When I was in school, when I was a senior in school, we put together a list of signatures because we got tired of them taking our phones. Go be like, if we supposed to be the generation of technology, how you gonna take my technology? That don't make sense. So I want y'all to always consider that our generation is unique. We got things that the generations before us didn't have. We're able to connect instantly and we organize just like they used to do. So I'm proud of all of you guys. I'm proud of y'all interest in this type of work. The two poets that came up, y'all did a wonderful job. And I'm gonna say this too. Education is important, right? It's the key. And I say that togetherness and unity is like the door. So when we think about creating change, I want you to think about like positivity. I want you to think about like leaving behind a legacy. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, when they look at our generation, they talk about gun violence and violence and gang banging and drugs and stuff like that. Like we created that stuff. You know what I mean? This is just the reality that we living in too. We trying to change it just like y'all. So I appreciate all y'all's beautiful faces. Shout out to Mr. Charles, and this was a great event. So thank y'all.
Yes, Chad Freeman, y'all. Y'all ever heard of Woke Vote? Y'all never heard of Woke Vote? Okay, Woke Vote was founded by our new president and CEO, Ms. Dewana Thompson, and Chad is the lead organizer for that organization. And so thank you a lot for that address, Chad. And you're exactly right. You know, I just had one of our foot soldiers tell me that, you know, they marched in 63 and got arrested, but there's a lot of them that marched and organized and did things just recently, as recent as 2021, 2020. And so we're not trying to keep you all in that historical factor, especially when they're still doing work today. All right. And same thing, Chad, that was excellent. I love how you brought it full circle. You really bridged the gap for us and let these young people know that, yes, you can learn from these elders, or I call our elder masters, but you all also are unique in your own right and have to carry this torch forward into the future. And so once again, we like to highlight young people. And so we're going to have a musical selection by Mr. Brinston Story. Brinston, you can come now, please.
How y'all doing this morning? Well, I ain't got no history lesson or nothing for y'all, and I ain't really gonna talk y'all head off because it ain't too much that I can say that ain't nobody else already told y'all. But I can say this, and they can teach you this history all day, but I'm gonna tell y'all about this the way my grandmama told me about God. You gotta understand it for yourself, and it gotta resonate with you genuinely before you can really follow through with what somebody else tell you to do. Because otherwise, if you just follow through with what somebody else tell you to do, looking for a certain result, and you don't get it, you're just gonna end up resenting yourself, everybody you think you're doing it for, whatever. But I just say all that to say, just make sure what you doing is following is right with you, and then carry on from there. Y'all got my music ready up there? Y'all got me? Not that one. Well, I'm in church. I don't want to do that one no more. It was the first one I sent you. The first one I sent you. Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, try the second one I sent you. It was two separate emails. Say the least for as long as I could remember. It took me 20 plus years to be proud to look in the mirror, really be chilling. My ego tell me to kill them. See the hurt in their eyes, in my heart, I be wanting to heal them. Even if they return it, I'm tired of overextending. I finally start saying no, and they finally show me the difference between friendship and beneficial. Ain't got a lot to kick it. Just keep it G, my boy, with that. You can miss me. Discover sense of self when I trust in my intuition, so I'm better suited for my karma coming to fruition. Look, I'm between finding God and finding myself. Somewhere between running no end, just catching my second breath. Somewhere between wanting the love I can keep and keeping it tight. Somewhere between the police and the need to serve and protect. Not the rack of bags to blue and black, just never seen the mission. Lessons on a pair of J's, but shout out my dog in the vest. Hope you make the change you want to see. Pray you make it home in peace and check them niggas who be overstepping their authority. Cause I'm getting tired of hearing this depressing poetry about another murder and how they brought us from overseas. No doubt they never gave a about us historically, but to the brain there's Novocaine. I always read it on your screen. Just read a t-shirt that said, I'm sorry, Brianna. I wonder how long we gonna keep marking the black trauma. Probably as long as they keep exploiting my black dollars for the coaches and the vultures who rob us like Black China. You got me, Mr. Charles. You got me, Mr. Charles. How y'all feeling this morning, though? Who all we got in here? Ramsey. Shout out. Hey. All right. Hey, shout out to Ramsey. I went to Ramsey. Who else we got? We got Ramsey, Winona, Park, and who else? J.O.? All right. Still ain't go? If the first one easy, you can just play that. Yeah, just play that. I apologize, y'all. I swear I'm trying to clean it up for church. I swear I am. But, yeah, I mean, we all done got a history lesson today. Can I just get y'all to have some fun with me for a minute? Oh, I don't believe that. Can I get y'all to have some fun with me for a minute? All right. You can go ahead and run it. Which one do you have or don't have? Raise their children. As a child, I always heard that you should pray for forgiveness. Pray for those you hold closest and to pray for the wicked. Say your religion. Only love remain the prescription. Got a long way to go and they're going to take us some healing. He going to take a little more action and a lot less hate. Before you point the finger, make sure you self-evaluate. In the marathon, continue, I speak life to my race. And pray someday we make it out of this state. Man. But we ain't got to wait too long, Lord. We ain't got to wait too long. Cause we've been here for way too long, Lord, we've been here way too long. And we ain't gotta wait too long. Keep it going. And we ain't gotta wait too long. Wait, let me talk to him. Growing up, my biggest fear was always death. Now I feel not truly loving life before I lay to rest. I can tell you how much low self-esteem would have me pressed. Either say what's on your mind or let it mess you up instead, yeah. We gonna get this bread, homie, that's a given. It's my wealth and your purpose when God got your existence. If only I would listen to my own advice. Focus more on getting these results versus how much we gonna smoke tonight. We get it, Brent, you introspective, need your space. But in that time, are you learning and loving yourself with no chase, with no narcissistic ego, no superficial pride, or no fear of being judged by others clogging up your mind? Did you grow to be somebody that you needed as a child? Did you lose your glow? Cause I don't think I seen it in a while. Ain't no need to be defensive, I just want to see you grow. If you saw me out here slipping, I hope you would let me know, shoot. Hey, huh? It's all good. Hey, look. Hey, dude, it's all good, man. It's all good. Huh? Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I make it work the best way I can anyway. Appreciate you having me, though.
All right. Technology always only works when it works, right? When it's not working, we got to make other changes. And so we're going to keep rolling along. We're about to end up. We have a dynamic keynote speaker here for you. This guy works for the Greater Birmingham Ministries. He's also closely affiliated with this church, St. Paul's. And so bring it to the stage. We're going to get Mr. Scott Douglas.
Wow. I'm quite full after what I've heard and what I witnessed, because it's so appropriate for this time. The energy is appropriate. The analysis is appropriate. The memory is appropriate. And our future is appropriate. Look here, welcome again to St. Paul. And we're pleased to be celebrating our 153rd anniversary, 153 years as a continuing congregation. Now, we started back in 1869, just 1 year after the ratification of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That amendment allowed Black folks to own land and keep the land they own against those who would take it away from them for nothing. It granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, including the formerly enslaved folks, and guaranteed all citizens equal protection under the laws. Right now, equal protection under the law is under attack today. What's the connection between 1868 and 1963? It took children, the Children's Crusade, marching in the streets, unafraid of jail, believing in the cause, and abandoning fear, to demand that the promises, I didn't say they didn't have no fear. They abandoned the fear to guarantee, to demand that the promise of equal rights be witnessed and attended to, that the amendments be kept in Birmingham and Alabama, across the nation, marching and singing, including, "We aren't afraid of your jails because we want our freedom, and we want our freedom now." Speaking to the youth who were marching in May of '63, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth said, quote, "Bull Connor thought the jails were like hell to us, but you all have made a heaven out of the jail. You are as good a soldier as any that go across the water, because you are fighting for what the country is, and more so, what it can be." Those children risked their lives and win a victory for a world they had never seen, a world they had never witnessed. They risked and experienced going to jail to obtain a freedom they had never enjoyed. They were marching to transform Birmingham, and in so doing, they transformed the world. With vision, faith, prayer, training, and discipline, they had been transformed even as they transformed the world. How transformed? The author, Taylor Branch, writes in his book called Parting the Waters. He tells the story of two girls heading to the march, and the girl in front turns around to her friend and says, and she's lagging behind and says, "Hurry up, Elizabeth. If you don't hurry up, you won't be able to go to jail with the rest of us." Imagine that transformation Reverend Shuttlesworth is talking about, that in pursuit of justice, even a place you would be afraid to go to becomes a place you want to go with your very best friend. Let's go to jail and hang out. Why was the Children's March necessary? It was necessary because most of the adults who felt they could go to jail had already gone. That meant the marches would weaken, the movement would decline and decrease before victory was won. So the novel idea emerged: let the children march. Let's have the Children's Crusade. Let's fill the jails. But they would have to be trained. They would have to march, and they have to have discipline. And among those trainers were such as Reverend C.T. Vivian, Bernard Lafayette, James Orange, and Reverend James Bevel. And one of the major sites for the trainings for the launch pad for the Children's March was right here, downstairs at St. Paul. Now, while the day's march is a commemoration, that's a reenactment. But because of today's conditions, it's much more. In 1963, the children marched to change the course of history, to change the flow of history from hardened segregation and shameless racial discrimination to a course towards civil rights and inclusion for all. Today we march because of the erosion of the rights we won in 1963, the erosion of the justice we fought for in 1963. Remember, history don't always go forward unless you push it forward. If you don't push it forward, it will roll back on you. The victory that the children helped win was not just a Birmingham victory. It was a victory of nonviolent civil disobedience heard around the world, resounding across the globe. It was repeated throughout the movement for social justice in the United States and across the world. As the United States Civil Rights Movement was struggling in the United States to free us in the U.S., us is the U.S., from the struggling bondage of segregation and racial discrimination, emerging nations across the world, in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia, were struggling to free themselves from the bondage of colonialism. So much so that, quote, "We Shall Overcome" went from becoming an African-American hymn to a civil rights anthem to an international call for freedom and justice heard around the world. But you are here today to not just reenact. This march is for real. This march is right now. The very freedoms that were won in 1960s around the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, are already being weakened and under serious threat of being reversed. So throughout history, justice is never the act of one man or one woman alone. Victory in the struggle for justice is never the victory of one man or one woman alone. Justice, equality, and equity come from the efforts of many marching with discipline and in alignment for the same goal and never stopping till that goal is won. Well, you know, justice is like a relay race. Every generation must catch the baton. Every generation must pass it on. You know, when you watch a relay race, the next runner in line is not just sitting there waiting for the runner to get to him. The next runner in the race is already in stride with one hand back behind it to keep that baton in motion. So they themselves begin to run so that when they receive the baton, little momentum has been lost in the race. So as you receive the baton, you already moving. And one thing I want to add that I didn't say, in this relay race for justice and equity and equality, this commemoration day, this ain't practice. This is a real race. Thank you.
All right, who's ready to go? Y'all ready to go? Okay, so we're going to use that energy and you're going to get your marching orders. But Reverend Webb, we got to get y'all fired up and ready to go. Because I know y'all ready to go, right? Y'all tired? Y'all ready to go? All right, so we're going to use that energy and we're going to get ready to go. Once Reverend Webb is finished firing y'all up, we are going to leave out of St. Paul's Church and we're going to march into Kelly Ingram Park for a very short march where a DJ is out there waiting on y'all to have some fun, some refreshments, sodas and drinks and stuff. And then we're going to just have a little fellowship before you have to go back to y'all schools, okay? All right, so y'all ready to go? All right.
Are y'all ready to go? All right, look. Wait a minute. Wait. Shh. When I say fired up, I want y'all to say ready to go. When I say fired up, I want y'all to say ready to go. Fired up! 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 Now, there's wait. There's an order we go in though. During the movement, there was one word that we learned over and over and over again. And it was a word that began with O. Obedience. Say obedience. Say it loud. Obedience. I brought with me two of my godchildren, Lisa and Gray. Stand up, Lisa and Gray. Even as old as they are, they know the O word. obedience. Isn't that right, Lisa? Great. Obedience. So as you guys begin to get up slowly, get up slowly, get up slowly. Now wait. You know, I teach children all over the country, and guess what? They're obedient. All right. Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Fired up!
We're gonna start row at a row. First row, like that.
Okay, I tell you what. On my last fired up, and you say ready to go, I want you to start with this row. Ready to go. This row, ready to go. This row, ready to go. Where's J.O.? All right. All right, wait a minute now. J.O., it was Western or Oland before it became J.O. And we came out fired up, but we were in order and ready to go. We will come out, but wait until it's time for your row to come out. Please, ma'am, please, sir. Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Don't fall out of line now. Come on. Come on, we know now.
Good to see you also. I introduced myself to your husband. Did you tell
Did you?
I did.
Oh, he did tell me that. He did.
I did.
Right. I hope you remember this. Birmingham is unique in the world. No other city in the world has got the history that Birmingham has. And you go through life, you tell people you're from Birmingham. First thing they're going to ask you is, did you know anything about the civil rights movement? And you need to say yes and be proud of it. But what happens here in Birmingham is unique in the world. No other city has got our history. We need to show where we were and where we are. That is the most important thing. You cannot say you're from Birmingham and don't know. Right. Right? You understand what I'm saying? Yes, sir. You got to pass it on. The foot soldiers, we're getting old. When you become the new foot soldiers, the new ones, you guys got to plan, and you get a chance to tell the rest of the world, just like I'm trying to do now. Exactly the same way, but don't let anybody ask you, and then you about Birmingham, and you say, I don't know. So African American children, because what happened here changed this whole world. Number two, Martin loved children. Martin loved children almost more than he loved his own children. He got to know well back in 1962. Pull the trigger. The Nobel, can y'all hear me all right? Yes, sir. The Nobel Peace Prize was worth about $130,000, a lot of money, in 1962. My mom and dad argued with Uncle Mike Martin King to use that money for his children, his own children, his children, for their college, for their education. He said no. He gave all of the money to the movement to help people get out of jail. All of them. That's how much he loved children. When he gave the speech, I have a dream. Do you remember the phrase that he says, I may not get there with you? Does anybody remember that? Does anybody know the speech? Anybody know the speech? I may not get there with you. What did he say after that? I've been to the mountaintop. What he was saying, sorry. What he was saying is that I know I'm not going to be able to see you be free. But my life doesn't matter. I'm just one person. I want the salvation to belong to all of the children. All of the children have a chance for a decent, equitable, free life. I may not get there with you, but I'm going to give my life so you got a chance. That's the message you got to pass on. I'm giving my life so that you have a chance. Now you got to give your life so that somebody else has a chance. Talk to me when you're Thank you, Jeff Drew. We have some refreshments here for y'all. If y'all want to, don't everybody jump at once. Don't be scared. But there's drinks here for y'all. That's Jeff Drew. He just gave y'all an emotional address about his own personal relationship with Dr. King. Come here, Reverend Webb. We got Reverend Webb here, who was a student leader during the movement in 1963. We have other foot soldiers that are coming over here as well. You see these elders, you talk to these people. Learn from them. Pick their brain. She was also the first female.
Second black female cop.
Second black female police officer of the city of Birmingham. Right here, she made it to detective.
Yes.
And she made it to detective. All right? So y'all got history all around you. You got history and you got trendsetters and pioneers all around you.
And so part of this, in the part is for y'all to talk to these elders, talk to these foot soldiers, pick their brain, get their insight on things that are going on in your lives. Realize that come get some sodas, some water, whatever. Look, I see you doing this. Don't get it. Yeah, he's scared. Don't get it. All right, but at 1 o'clock, we are officially done. So if y'all have to go, you have to go back to your school to go get something to eat. Y'all can free to do that after 1 o'clock. But I thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all got something out of this. I know it was long, so that's one thing we'll change for next year. Shorten it down a little bit, right? All right, but I know it was long, but it had to be. We hadn't seen each other in about 3 years. All right, so I thank y'all again for coming. Y'all go get some of these drinks. Come talk to Jeff Jones, talk to Jeff Lab, and other food soldiers around. Thank you. Come talk to Chad. Come talk to Chad. It's a wealth of knowledge too. All right, you good.
I'm a friend to send them back to mental housing. Yeah. Too sexy for this.